guys, it's Alexis, aka The Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do another monthly recommendations video. This time, the topic for October is Monster Mash, and so it's basically just picking books that have monsters in them. They don't necessarily have to be scary because, of course, not everybody enjoys horror. So I didn't necessarily pick books that were scary. I will admit some of these books have a horror element to them, but in my opinion, I don't think any of these books qualify as scary. I don't have any Stephen King on this list, but I do think that all of the monsters in these books would definitely be horrifying if I ever saw them in real life. But I'll go ahead and just get into it. The first book I'm going to recommend is by one of my all-time favorite authors, and that is By These Tin Bones by Claire B. Dunkel. For those of you who've maybe watched some of my videos before, Claire B. Dunkel's The Hollow Kingdom trilogy is one of my all-time favorite trilogies. Actually, it is my all-time favorite trilogy. And this is a standalone that she did. I think it was published in either 2009 or 2010, I don't remember. But By These Tin Bones basically tells the story of a young woman who lives in a Scottish village, and basically people are dying in this village, and around the same time, she meets a gentleman who has the ability to turn into a werewolf. And so it's kind of just this story of, is he the killer? Is something else also haunting this village? And at the same time, she's also developing this relationship and this friendship with this gentleman who becomes a werewolf. And I read the story a long time ago, so I'm not totally familiar with all the details. It's definitely time for a reread, but I remember really enjoying it. It has that same mysticism that Claire B. Dunkel's other stuff has, and I definitely think that werewolves qualify as monsters, so it's going on the list. The next story I have to recommend is also one of my all-time favorites, and that's Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Of course, the creature in this is one of the most quintessential monsters. Of course, this tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, in an attempt to cheat death, creates a man out of the body parts of corpses, and basically when he becomes horrified at what he's done, he leaves the creature to die, and it's basically about the creature coming back and the epic struggle between these two men, the creator and the created, and basically who becomes the master and who becomes the servant. And it's just a really great read. It definitely, I think a lot of people consider it to be a horror book, but I think that, and Mary Shelley actually originally came up with the idea while she was telling ghost stories with her husband Percy, Lord Byron Scott, and John Pomodori, who of course created the vampire. And so it's definitely a quintessential horror read, but I don't find it to be that scary. I think what's so scary about this is more of the aspect of humanity and what people are willing to do for the things that they want. And this is just such a great read, and it's very iconic, and I strongly recommend everyone checking it out. The next book series I'm going to recommend is my favorite childhood story, and that is the Land of Elyon series by Patrick Carman. This, of course, tells the story of Alexa Daly, as she finds out that she is kind of on this path to save her world from a evil being named Abaddon. And basically over the course of this book she meets a lot of different creatures. There are ogres, and there are serpents, and there are a lot of different monsters throughout the series. Of course, when I was a kid, a lot of these monsters definitely spooked me out. Being an adult, I'm definitely not as scared of them. But this is about a 12-year-old girl. And put in that perspective, definitely a lot of the monsters and a lot of the friendly creatures that she encounters definitely can be very spooky. And I absolutely love this series. It basically sparked my love of reading, and I highly, highly recommend it. The next book I'm going to recommend is The Devil's Kiss by Sarwat Shada. I'll actually put up a picture of the finished cover on the screen because I have an ARC that I received forever ago. And I absolutely love this book. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and it basically tells the story of Billy, who is kind of like a monster hunter. Her father kind of raised her to be a monster hunter from a young age, and so basically this is about ghouls and Billy hunting werewolves and vampires, and possibly the Angel of Death himself. And I really love this story. A lot of the things that happen in this story surprised me and broke my heart, and I just think it was such a successful story, and it really saddens me that I really never got closure for this series. But this is such a good book, and I strongly recommend it, especially if you're into urban fantasy and books that feature ghouls and angels and that kind of thing. Next series I'm going to recommend is the Mediator series by Meg Cabot. Of course, this tells the story of Suze, who can see ghosts, and each book kind of focuses on a different story of Suze trying to either put some ghosts to rest or banish them or stop them from haunting somebody. This is definitely for fans of The Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt, because it's very much the same thing, just, of course, Suze is a lot younger. But I definitely think that some of the events that happen in this book are certainly kind of creepy, because it does deal with ghosts and the dead, and a lot of them are out for revenge. But I absolutely love the story. I think it's so much fun, and of course, earlier in this year, Meg Cabot came out with a 7th book in the series that takes place when the characters are older, and I haven't gotten to read it yet because I want to reread the series first. But I'm so excited to dive in and reread the whole series and be able to read the new installment, and it's so much fun. The next book series I'm going to recommend is The Forest of Handsome Teeth by Carrie Ryan. This is a zombie apocalypse story, so of course the zombies make it onto this recommendations video. This is a companion trilogy, so each book follows a different character, but I love how connected everything is, and I love that this book is about being human and dealing with emotions and dealing with your own humility and your own humanity and looking death in the face and being able to walk away from it or not walking away at all. And I just really love this series. And it definitely is spooky. I have an irrational fear of zombies, so reading this book was a huge step in helping me overcome that fear. And it's just really good, and it's super underrated, and you should all read it because you would make me very happy if more people read this. The last book series I'm going to recommend is the Strange Angel series by Lily St. Croix. This is an urban fantasy paranormal story about a girl named Prue, who basically finds out that she is a very rare female vampire in this world where female vampires basically only happen like once every 100 years. And so one day her dad basically stumbles home as a zombie, and she's forced to kill him and go on the run from these creatures that are hunting her. And along the way she befriends a male vampire, and there's also her best friend who basically ends up being a werewolf. And it's very, very paranormal for sure, but I found this series to be loads of fun. I really, really love Drew as a main character. I do warn that there is a love triangle in here, so if that's not your thing, I would definitely stay away from it, but I do think it deserves a read as being a paranormal story. Lily St. Croix writes a lot of new adult urban fantasy paranormal romance, but this was her, like, dip into YA, and I still really enjoyed the series. I still thought it was a lot of fun. Alright guys, so those were all of my monster recommendation books. You guys should let me know down below what your favorite monster is, and I will just leave you guys here with something Hocus Pocus related.
Mary, take me to the window. I wish to say goodbye.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye-bye. World.
Goodbye to life.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Goodbye to all
All that.